Now at 6, new details are coming to light about how one of the people shot by Border Patrol agents last week in Portland is linked to another shooting that happened back in July. What we're now learning about that case coming up in a live report. Plus,
Renee Nicole Good, you would shoot her too!
If she drove a car at me, yes.
new video shows the moments a Portland police officer and a demonstrator got into a heated argument during a recent protest. How the police bureau is now responding to that incident. And some older people in Southern Oregon are, well, they're just stripping down for a good cause. We'll take a look at how this naked calendar is raising money for the town of Lakeview in just a bit, as your News at Sunrise starts right now. There's a lot to unpack there. We'll get there, I promise you. Good morning and thank you for joining us here. I'm China Green. Chris McGinnis.
It didn't look to me like there was much to unpack at all, China.
That's very true. It's just all out there for you.
Well, McGinnis, what are you doing there?
Keep it on.
Wow, all right.
Keep it on.
Let's start off with our dense fog advisory for the valley. And if you watch this every morning and we have these foggy starts, you know the fog kind of comes and goes. At one point it looks really bad, the next point it doesn't look so bad. So this is the best we've been able to see our state capital so far down in Salem. In addition to the foggy conditions, we do have temperatures right at freezing. McNary Field right now 33 degrees, but it is a big coat morning nonetheless. So far visibility coming into Portland hasn't been bad. You can see a ribbon of shallow fog setting up right there along the walkway there. 33 also at PDX. No fog on the west side, but you can see it's really widespread and dense in locations on the west side, all the way into Tillamook County, and then also down into Eugene. So a foggy, cold, big coat morning with a temperature of 32 degrees. Expecting we'll have some sun increasing across the area around midday, 44, and we may or may not get up to 50 today with the sun coming. Yesterday it was 55. Here's Chris McGinnis.
Yesterday was great.
Yeah.
All right, let's get you out the door with a look out of Vancouver. I-5 still zipping along just fine, but you do see some fog pockets here and there across the metro area. This is a live shot from photojournalist Eric Patterson. He's heading southbound on Highway 217 right now. Looks like he's just passed, I want to say, Allen Boulevard here. And you can see some fog there. We're on the lookout for a possible fender bender there southbound as well. Elsewhere on the freeway system, we do have one trouble spot in Wilsonville. ODOT dealing with some debris on the road that had the I-5 northbound Wilsonville road exit blocked partially for a little while. Looks like that has cleared, but there you can see a little farther south. Looks like the farther south you go, the thicker the fog gets. China.
Thank you, Chris. We start this hour of Sunrise with new details about last week's shooting involving U.S. Border Patrol in southeast Portland. Court documents indicate that a federal officer shot a man and a woman last Thursday after the truck that they were in repeatedly rammed an unoccupied rental car being used by federal agents. This all happened in the parking lot of a Adventist Health Primary Care in southeast Portland. Several agents said that they were fearful for their safety. And apparently months before this incident, local law enforcement was already investigating one of the victims for her alleged involvement in a shooting case back in July. So for more details on that, we head out to Thomas Schultz, who is live this morning in Washington County. So Thomas, what do we know about this case?
Yeah, China, those court documents say that shooting in July happened in this neighborhood at the Frank Estate Apartments behind us on Southwest Furlock Way. Investigators say that shooting is tied to one of the victims who were shot by a federal agent in a targeted stop last week. The sheriff's office tells KGW no one was hurt in that July shooting. Suspects there fled the scene. Months later, it's an incident one neighbor remembers vividly.
And then next thing I know, I see the sheriff's department coming down my stairs and in our backyard and stuff. Fully got, the beanbag guns ready to go and stuff. So, just very confused what was going on.
Detectives identified Betsabé Zambrano Contreras as a person of interest in the case. Federal officials say she was one of two people shot by Border Patrol agents last week. The other is Luis Nino Mancada. Federal officials say both are tied to a Venezuelan gang and a prostitution ring. Back in July, here at the Frank Estate, an arrest affidavit by an FBI agent says sheriff's deputies interviewed two victims who were not injured. They said they'd engaged Zambrano Contreras in prostitution services. The affidavit says she left after a dispute, then came back with several men and tried to break into the apartment. One victim ran out of the back of the apartment and says he was shot at while running away. 6 months later, that man that we spoke with, a neighbor here, says he never thought that shooting could escalate into what we're seeing here today. Zambrano Contreras has been transferred to an ICE processing facility in Tacoma, Washington. Meanwhile, Nino Mancada is behind bars and expected in court on Wednesday. China?
Thomas Schultz reporting live for us. Thank you, Thomas. Meantime, Portland police are reviewing a complaint about comments that an officer made at a recent protest. Their action was recorded, and in the video, a demonstrator appears to question the officer about the deadly shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis. Take a look.
Renee Nicole Good, you would shoot her too!
If she drove a car at me, yes.
So you think that can serve us? You absolutely clear for me.
What? Sometimes criminals get shot. If they threaten
By
a cop,
who? By
they
who?
get shot. By law
Criminals
enforcement.
get shot by law enforcement?
Absolutely.
When they're doing nothing?
No, when they're breaking the law.
So the officer has now been assigned to other duties as the police bureau reviews the complaint against him. Portland Police Chief Bob Day tells KGW in a statement, quote, "Tensions are high at this time, and this is affecting all of us, including community members and Portland Police Bureau members. Our goal is to ensure that community trust is maintained and that members of the Bureau consistently represent the professional standards that everyone deserves." Oregon legislatures are meeting this week to prepare for the 2026 legislative session, which starts on February 2nd. Meanwhile, the president of OHSU in Portland is lobbying the legislature in Salem, urging them to maintain funding for something called Graduate Medical Education, or GME. So Dr. Sharif Al-Nahal says that with the state's budget pressure, there's a proposal to cut GME funding in Oregon by around $12 million. And if that happens, matching federal dollars would also disappear for a combined loss of $29 million.
Why is government funding required for graduate medical education? Well, these really important people in our health system are a major part of our workforce, but because they are not yet licensed in many cases and are not yet completed in their training, they cannot bill for their services. And so in order for us to support and invest in the infrastructure to train them, this funding has been critically important.
The cuts would not only affect OHSU. There are 5 accredited GME programs in Oregon, though OHSU's is by far the largest. The hospital says around 27 full-time positions would need to be cut if the proposal passes. The Oregon Health Authority has partnered with the treatment center for a new supportive housing project. So the new Fora Home by Fora Health is set to open in Southeast Portland in 2027. The facility, located near Fora's outpatient treatment center, will offer 46 beds, 23 rooms to give patients housing while they get help. So Monday was the first day of Washington's legislative session, and lawmakers are facing a $2 billion deficit. Washington Speaker of the House blames that on President Donald Trump, his tariffs and policies. She says the state is losing federal dollars, paying for everything from electrical car chargers to health care. The governor is proposing an income tax that he and backers say would only impact millionaires, but some aren't so sure it's the right move. Republicans say that they are ready for a fight this season.
It might be a millionaire's tax today, but eventually it's going to be a tax on you and me. People need to think, how many times have politicians in Olympia raised my taxes versus how many times have they cut my taxes?
So the governor says he will only sign off on a millionaire's tax if there are other tax breaks that come along with it to benefit families, like sales tax cuts on food, toiletries, and diapers. He also thinks it would require a constitutional amendment. Hey, take a look at this. Volunteers helped the Hood River County Sheriff's Office rescue a couple of climbers over the weekend. The Sheriff's Office says that one of the climbers fell into White River Glacier while the two were on Mount Hood Saturday. The Sheriff's Office says climbing conditions are challenging right now because of variable snow conditions and warm temperatures. Speaking of warm temperatures, weren't you talking about how in the mountain it's actually warmer there than it is in the city?
Yeah, we showed you Timberline Lodge. Get this, China, 48 degrees right now, 48 right now, which would be a nice high for Portland this time of the year.
Sure.
But it's 48 right now. Portland's at 32, 33 right now. And the fact that it's going to be 50 or better this afternoon, that warming does inherently create increasingly unstable slabs of snow, and that pattern will continue this week. Unfortunately, the warming will also start to melt off the snowpack that we were so proud to get last week. All right, here's our Vancouver, the Springs at the waterfront camera. One of the spots that can be really foggy, but so far it has not. Now, again, I remind you, these fog banks can quickly come and quickly go, but so far this has been good visibility for commuters coming out of Clark County. 32 degrees is the number. And so far downtown Portland, we've been seeing these little ribbons of fog laying down. This is from the Wells Fargo building, but coming on I-5 into the city, or 84 or 26, it's fine. Temperatures are chilly, so it's a return to a big coat morning. In fact, 29 is the number out in Gresham. That's evidence of a light wind down low near the gorge itself. 32 down in Corvallis. The Weather Service has not only a fog advisory up, but a freezing fog advisory from Albany, good morning to you, down to Eugene, where there's a heightened chance that maybe there could be some icy spots from the foggy conditions this morning. So FYI on that. The coast, my goodness, it was 60 in Lincoln City yesterday. It's going to be sunny today and well up into the 50s again. Warmest spot in the state. Well, I'm not sure if we get to 50 or not in Portland due to our cold, foggy start. This shows Albany 47 this afternoon and Salem at 48. And here's the 7-day, all dry into Dr. Martin Luther King Monday. Today, 49. Tomorrow, the clouds could be more widespread and fog than even this morning, and may not get out of here. If that's the case, we'd only be in the mid-40s. But we get back to an east breeze and all sunny blue on Thursday and Friday. That's your update.
Thank you, Ron.